What's up, everybody? It's Wild Eye Week. Today is day number 5, and I watched Axecalibur. Check it out. Alright, that's Axecalibur, also known as The Legend of the Mad Axeman. Came out in 2017. Runtime is 1 hour and 12 minutes. It's got a 5.1 rating. It was written and directed by Russ Gulm. Stars Ken Arnold as FBI Agent Johnson, Lauren Bridgeland as Megan Cooper, Bethany Calder as Lily, Billy Chainsaw as Harold, Justin Courtney as Brett, Edward Fisher is Jason Hill, and he's the author that is on the trail of the Axeman. Paul Kavanaugh, Detective Inspector. William Roberts is Samuel Gray, the Madman. Mike Shaw is Dan Barrett. Ben Shockley as Stephen Staten. Bethany Smith as Sandy, Owen Walton as Rick, and Andy Young as Neil Anderson. So the movie starts out around a campfire. There's some kids listening to a counselor tell a story. They're probably maybe 10 to 14 years old, different ages. And he's telling them this story of this crazed killer that escaped from a mental hospital. This couple didn't hear the story on the radio playing, and while they were out, their car breaks down, and of course the boyfriend tells the girlfriend, stay in the car, I'll be back with some help. And you should know, in horror movies, never say I'll be back, because you're not going to be back. And after some time passes by, she hears this dripping sound coming from on top of the car, just dripping, drip, 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 drip sounds, and she doesn't know what it is. And so she's just sitting there confused, and then a cop car pulls in front of her, shines her lights on her. A cop gets out and tells her to come towards him as quickly as she can, and whatever you do, don't look behind you. And of course, as soon as they say, don't look behind you, she turns around to see a silhouette of a man standing on top of her car, axe in one hand, and her boyfriend's severed head in the other. It's got a little bit of the bone coming out from the spinal cord, just a little bit. And then, of course, the blood's still dripping onto the car. And he also continues the story about the Axeman, saying how the axe was specially made. It's so sharp that it'll cut through human flesh so easily, and that the Axeman will put notches into the handle after each victim that he kills, and how late at night, for those of ones who answer his knock at the door, of course, he kills them and anyone in the house sleeping. And it's pretty gory. You got lots of blood, intestines, heads being chopped off, body parts, So if you like blood and gore, definitely check this one out. And of course, the kids don't believe it's a true story, and the counselor finishes it off saying, I can prove it to you. And beside him was an axe. He picked it up and goes towards the kids, but it goes to the opening credits, where in town, there's the author, Jason Hill, and he's had something happened to his family, which we find out, and that's possibly the reason why he's after the Axeman. But he believes that this urban legend is true, and all of these murders are connected after all these years, it's still the same killer. The police don't believe him. They think he's just a crazy guy. And the story also goes around these 6 college, I guess, age. Megan, Lily, Harold. I believe it might be Megan is the one. While the author is, doing his investigation stuff, is going around in town, the axeman shows up in town, and he's looking for his axe. He ends up randomly finding it behind this store that this guy owns. When he went inside to buy an axe, it called to him. It was in this wood or stone, which you saw from the trailer when he went to pick it up. And the guy was saying that he tried getting that axe out, but it's been there for years. And of course, it being the axeman's axe, he grabs it, decapitates him. And while he's going through the town, he runs into Megan as she's going to meet her friends. He stalks her, of course. That's how he picks his victims, other than the murder that he did in the town. And Lily is a reporter who ends up going to the murder scene. One of the friends that left the meeting and wasn't sure if she was going to come to the party that night, and runs into the reporter, she's works for a reporter company that's kind of like the Weekly World News, National Enquirer, Silly Stories. And she runs into the author. I keep saying he's the reporter, who's trying to hunt down the axeman. And she gets in touch with him, and he tells her everything that's going on. And she reveals that earlier in the day, her friend said that she was being stalked by some guy. And he comes to the conclusion that it's the axeman. And so they go to the party where the friends are already there. It's like this abandoned old farmhouse because, that's the best place to just meet up. And they're all telling their own scary stories. And one of them does bring up the axeman. And, of course, he ends up being there, and all hell breaks loose. And he goes on a Axecalibur. And he comes up with, little silly axe lines, which I won't really spoil if you see it. And Lily shows up with Jason for their final confrontation there. And we find out some interesting facts from him about why the axeman chose that area, how the map where the killings are a pentagram, so it's got a supernatural twist to it. And so they may or may not stop the axeman, why it's a continuous force that's happened all through these years. There's an interesting twist to it, which I won't spoil. Just definitely check it out if you enjoy your Wild Eye slashers. If you've seen it, leave a comment down below and let me know what you thought about it. Enjoy the rest of Wild Eye Week. And if you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe, hit that bell for notifications, and I'll see you next time.